Welcome, Black Hollywood Live fans. On today's Fit Club, we talk the Dirty Dozen, life extension, and more with Olympic medalist and actor Danell Leyva. Stay tuned for more.
You're tuned into Black Hollywood Live, Fit Club.
What's up, Fit Clubbers? We are back and chilling out to a little Khalid. I love it. We are joined by actor, Olympic medalist Danell Leyva. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you guys for having me.
I really appreciate it. Again, guys, my name is Shaka Smith. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat at Shaka Strong, and I'm joined by my co-host.
What's up, guys? My name is T.K. Trinidad. You can find me on everything at T.K. Trinidad.
And Danell, where can they find you?
Instagram, Twitter.
Like at the club.
Home address.
Honestly, you can find me at home playing video games or watching Hulu with my girlfriend, but also on social media, Instagram and Twitter. It's Danell J. Leyva, all one word.
Half the women just tuned out when you said girlfriend. Thanks for
Thanks for that
killing,
one, right?
killing it. You left it to the end, but I digress.
And if you guys are in the chat, we appreciate you being there. We'll be responding to your comments and questions if you have any. That'd be awesome. But yeah, let's kick it off with the first story. Latest in breaking, the 2018 Dirty Dozen has been released. The Dirty Dozen is a list of the worst fruits and vegetables according to their contamination with pesticides.
I got scared. I thought I was going to be on the list.
You're like, uh-oh.
Oh, boy. There's so many. I'm going to leave it alone.
That was a softball.
Yeah, that was
She's
a
like,
softball.
I'm not gonna let that one go. But topping the list is strawberries, also spinach, nectarines, apples, grapes. So really, the thing is buy organic here.
Jesus. Spinach?
Yeah, spinach. Are you surprised by some of this?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, TK shakes her head.
No, because, if you buy it in the grocery store, it's still kind of bad, but it's like if somebody's preparing it for you, that's why like when I go out and the fruit is just chilling.
Yeah.
And it's just, people can breathe on it. It's very porous.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with spinach. So I'm not surprised because, like, I've always been kind of, like, if somebody hands me an orange and it's already cut up, like, I don't eat it.
I was surprised by the nectarine because the nectarine has a skin.
Yeah, it's not. It's very thin skin.
And rounding out the Dirty Dozen are, like, celery and potatoes, which I would have thought, wouldn't have been so bad.
I feel like
no
the
skin on
potatoes
this.
makes a little more sense because it is like a root vegetable, so I guess that would make a little more sense. But like, you're right, like nectarine, things that have like skin
some
around
of
it.
the skin you would think it's not. And guess what? They wash and peel these fruits and vegetables because they want to mimic what the average consumer does.
Right.
I don't know if I want to know all of this information. Like already, she has already gotten in my.
I know. You don't want to know anymore. What I have to say.
Well, the key is to just to buy organic.
Right.
Like, so at the end of the day, it's like that's the way you can avoid it, is buying organic. And they actually added the 13th hot peppers, which was really disappointing because I love hot peppers. And I never even think about really buying organic.
Well, I think too with that is even if you buy organic, you're still going to get some type of thing floating around.
Well, not pesticides though. So this is like measuring the pesticides, and so that's what I'm really trying to avoid.
Right.
So what were you going to say that they washed them with?
No, they washed and peeled them as if, because normally we all just wash our vegetables and fruit. So they did that in the study too. So they're finding that the pesticides are still on there, even with doing it as normal Americans would do.
Yeah.
So the best way, if you're going to buy these and they're not going to buy organic, you need to rinse them for a full 30 seconds.
Okay.
And they also found that if you soak them in baking soda and water, that's sort of the best way to get rid of it.
I like that. That's good.
But like really tedious. Like I just want to grab my fruit and say,
well, I mean,
yeah, exactly. Get to it.
I suppose.
But I guess the positive side of it was that there's a clean 15, and topping the list for the clean 15 are avocados. So that's like
thicker
my
skin.
Yeah. But that is one of my go-tos these days. Also on the list was pineapple, cabbage, onions, papayas, asparagus. So not some of the fun stuff, but hey, if you eat it, you're in good shape.
Yeah. The asparagus, the asparagus is still, even though there's no official like layer on top of it, still kind of a harder vegetable.
Yeah. So, but when you were training, like, how are you responding to, I guess, some of these new food rules that kind of pop up every day in terms of this is organic or this is the best today or the best tomorrow? How are you able to kind of navigate that?
Well, to be completely honest with you, this is the first time I've ever heard of new food rules or anything. Because especially when I was training, I didn't worry about any of that.
Yeah.
They're a lot more strict for the women's gymnastics for sure, because obviously, people we already know the culture and how awful it was for the women. But anyways, let's not talk about that now. So honestly, I would never really worry about it. I just ate whatever I wanted in moderation, of course, because if I started feeling too heavy, I would cut down, or if I didn't feel enough energy, I would, eat more.
So there was never sort of like, oh, this new superfood is out. Let me start filling my diet with like tart cherries or
No, definitely not.
Well, what were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say, especially like being an athlete, there is this thing that like, there's a lot of superstition that goes into like being an athlete, and there's like a lot of things that like you're just like, well, I didn't do this last time, so I don't want to.
You don't want to change anything.
Change your routine.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say?
I find like the older athletes are the ones that get more strict with their diet.
Yeah.
But when you're like younger, because you said you started when we looked up and said you started when you're 16. Like that period of.
I started when I was 3.
So you started when you was 3.
Yeah.
So that period of time until you retired was the time. Like I remember when I was running track, I was eating like Caesar's pizza.
Yeah.
Like what I'm saying. So your body, your metabolism
Yeah.
is so high that you can afford to eat junk. Like Usain Bolt was eating chicken McNuggets during the Olympics.
Well, I think we're getting a little bit of that Tom Brady effect, where the younger athletes are now going, let me clean up my diet so that I can have this really long career.
Right.
For sure.
Like I know Venus did it because she had the syndrome, but she went vegan.
But she was like 30.
Yeah. But then other younger athletes started doing it, so I didn't know if like some of that affects or leaks into like the Olympic Village or other Olympians or.
Well, I mean, to be completely honest, it was really just more so me, because my teammates that were on the Olympic team, they were eating like super clean. They were like really watching what they were eating and stuff. But like, I wasn't, just because I didn't. Like I guess I just kind of knew. Also, being Hispanic, we eat a lot of different things, so we range our food choices from like vegetables to like deep fried almost. So there's a lot of stuff that I knew, like, okay, I'm gonna stay away from this, or I'm gonna eat more of that, and I feel like that kind of helped me not worry about it. Also, we were at the Olympics. I didn't want one more thing to have to
think about.
Yeah, I'm sure you weren't eating like French fries and fried chicken every night or something like that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, growing up, how was your diet? Because you said you were homeschooled, so were most of your foods just like made and prepared in the home?
Yeah, absolutely.
You were avoiding the process for the most part.
Right, exactly. So it was like I like rarely ate like fast food ever.
Yeah.
Well, I'm guessing your mom cooked your meals and stuff like that, or
my mom would cook every once in a while, or actually sometimes we would buy from restaurants, but like from Cuban restaurants or like Hispanic restaurants. So it was like still like rice, beans, chicken, steak,
that home cooked.
Like that. Exactly.
Yeah, that's the same in like with West Indian homes too. Like we didn't really. My grandmother cooked our meals pretty much every day.
Yeah, I think that's why we probably got away with a lot more in terms of eating a lot and different ranges of food, because it wasn't processed. You weren't getting all that junk all the time.
Exactly. McDonald's was a treat. It wasn't a daily thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And in that same vein, we had this new study coming out from the Journal of Cell Metabolism talking about cutting down calories for life extension. Have you guys heard of this before?
I haven't.
No, but it makes sense in the long run, because I was talking to somebody today because I'm also, vegetarian too, but I was talking to somebody today about like Roscoe's, right?
Yeah.
So Roscoe's, like back in the day, I used to do, I think it's called the Carol C. If you guys haven't been to Roscoe's, you need to go to Roscoe's. But it's like a Carol C, and it was 2 waffles, chicken breast, and then I'd add a wing and then cornbread. That's what I had.
That sounds so good.
But I can't even, I can't even physically eat that anymore, and 2, like, just kill me now. Yeah. So it's like, if I were to, I know, like if I were to go there, I'd have like half a waffle naturally, because because my metabolism was not as fast as it was back then. It's kind of like almost a switch. So I'd have like half a waffle, and I might have like a chicken wing and stuff like that. And it's like my body can't even eat that food, the amount of food that I was having before. And if you stay on top of it, it kind of makes sense that you do it naturally. Yeah,
and so it can extend your life just for like past a decade. And so what they're finding out, in animal studies they found that 25% reduction was effective. So they did the same study in humans, but I love it because none of the people were able to stick to 25% reduction in calories.
Were they in America?
But they averaged, but they averaged 15%. They averaged 15%, but the good news was they actually found a significant increase from the 15%.
Right. Yeah.
So you don't have to go that far in terms of your reduction for calories. And they looked at the biomarkers of aging. Oxidative stress, looked at it in the urine, as well as different markers that they gauged against people that were centenarians, 100 years old, 90 years old, and they found that both markers were reduced. And so it looks like if you cut your calories by 15%, not only will you lose weight, as participants lost 20 pounds the first year and maintained it for the second year, that you'll actually be able to extend your life.
Wow,
is it worth it?
I mean, it feels like some of these studies are common sense. Like you feel like when you were a kid, you were playing more, right?
Yeah.
If you're an adult and you work 9 to 5, you're no longer as active. So therefore, it would behoove you to maintain, not even like a model figure, just to maintain, you know, being healthy, to not eat as many calories because you're not going to be burning them. Yeah. So it just seems like, I get it if you were not trained in that, or you know weren't in athletics, or you know it wasn't around your family. I get where like it seems like a new study, but to me it's just like.
But at least you have a number to tie to it, because you know before you're like, you know, what's the most effective way? Do I go 1,000 calories? But use your baseline for what you normally eat and cut it by 15%, and that's where you know you can kind of live for a little bit.
Yeah,
or
it's just
put
so
the
funny.
ice cream
Like piggybacking off of what you said, I was literally about to say like maybe I'm biased because I was an athlete, but like. It's really easy to also maintain the calorie count low if you just maintain a specific type of exercise. It doesn't have to be an Olympic sport. It's just like something, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like I retired almost 2 years ago now, and my girlfriend goes to UCLA, so I'm there like all the time. And I actually play soccer like 3-4 times a week with like the faculty and staff. And these are like older men, you know, and they're out there and they're like running for an hour, and it's a lot of fun, and you can see like the difference between these guys and just like regular guys.
So you haven't seen like a metabolic drop off? Because I know for me, the first year after I wasn't playing water polo anymore, that was a tough year, because all of a sudden your activity level that was like you're twice a day, and you know, and you could eat whatever you want, so you don't really change your eating habit, but all of a sudden you're not doing twice a day.
Yeah. And people warn you, but you just always think it's almost like
because you've done it your entire life.
Yeah, it's almost like you're Superman and you've been Superman this whole time, and they're like, no, once you lose the cape, it's a wrap, and you're like, nah, I've got it.
Yeah, because it's so second nature, you forget that is the reason you're in such good shape. So did you find there was like, oh man, I got to be a little bit tighter with my diet here?
I'm not gonna lie, I did get like really paranoid. Because like I knew dude, I would train like 6 to 8 hours a day almost, right?
There's nothing you could eat that's gonna touch your body.
Right. So like when I retired, I was like, okay, I need to like work out a bunch every single day as much as I can. And I need to cut down on what I eat, because like I would eat similar to like there was the portions that I would eat was insane. Insane. And now like even if I tried, I would throw up for sure.
I think we all wish that we can maintain, like I'm just trying to do 2 hours, like just fit 2 workouts a day, and that's my normal, right? And it's just like we can't, because adulting sucks balls. But it's just like you have to.
Yes, very true.
You have to kind of, you know, you have to figure out what works best for you. But it's the same thing. I think when I retired, you know, just did the same thing, and then I think, and you don't even realize it. And then I was at a cottage one time with my boyfriend at the time, and they took a picture, and I'm like, oh.
That's so bad.
Yeah, it's like, okay. Noted. Like, you know, then you kind of alter it. So
it's just so funny. I started doing so many different things. I became so much more active, which I think kind of led to me being so happy in my like post-retirement life, because like, again, I would play soccer randomly when I was still training, but not much because obviously I was training. But I started playing soccer a whole bunch more. I started kind of taking these private like fighting lessons and like for like stunt fighting and stuff like that. Now I like actually go to like a gym, to a Krav Maga gym.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so that transition is tough. So these are some of the things you did to kind of give yourself some routine after that.
Yes, exactly. And of course, you know, like acting and stuff like that, because having to go to auditions and stuff kind of cuts down your exercise time as well. You know?
Of course.
Having to figure out like, you know, like how you're going to learn these lines, or writing new creating new content, which is kind of what I'm doing as well. That cuts in, and like
social media.
Has that transition been difficult from Olympian to actor? Because by the end of it, it's probably second nature for you. You're jumping on these parallel bars, and it's got to be by now so easy, second nature. And then you go into this room; it's sort of a new thing. As an actor, I know you're kind of out of like you know,
element,
and you can't control it. There's no control. Whereas in sports, you know, you either train and you do your job, or you don't.
But I mean, it's interesting because like in a sense, you can and you can't control either side, because like in sports, like you can train a whole bunch and all of a sudden some random thing happens and then you can't control it. But I feel that the same applies for entertainment. Like you kind of can't control it, but at the same time you can, depending on the amount of work you put in. But that's like everything in life, you know. Like the transition was, I think, I'm not gonna say that I was on a high, like on a honeymoon of being retired, because like I still feel it, and every single day I'm more and more happy with the choices that I made. I really feel like I'm doing exactly what I want to be doing, and every single day I get up, and even if I like don't have an audition or don't have anything to work on, I'm happy doing what I'm doing right now.
Yeah, and you haven't suffered from any of this sort of feedback malaise, because you get immediate feedback as a gymnast. With acting, you don't get, like, you can book the job and may not hear about it a month later, or you just never hear it at all.
Yes.
Yeah, so has that been different?
Oh, man. It has for sure. Luckily, I have a really good, like, support system. Like, not only my girlfriend, or, you know, not only my girlfriend, but also, like, I have, like, really good amount of friends out here that are also actors.
Good, yeah.
And they're just, like, really honest, but really supportive, and that's kind of like what you need in life, I think.
Yeah,
I think as long as you're working on like the little things as far as what type of actor you want to be, I think once you get either one, the adrenaline rush that you had before, because that's what transitioned me. Like that's what then when I did CrossFit, football, all these other things, is like that little bit of an adrenaline rush was still there that made me excited about whatever I was doing. And then you're learning something new. I think that's the great thing about being an athlete and having several years into it, and then, you know, essentially being an Olympic athlete and kind of putting in that time that you can apply to yourself. I mean, I was talking about Ronda Rousey and this whole WWE thing, and I was like, the fact that we doubted this woman, like, she made it to the Olympics out of everybody in America and came in third out of everybody in the world. And then she did USC and she made it to that point. It's like the fact that we doubt her that she didn't put in the work for that, like how do we doubt her to put in work for something else?
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's kind of like it's the same thing. So that's the great thing about, you know, being in athletics.
The other thing that I did also was that, like, I believe that as a human being, we never stop learning. And a person who thinks that they have reached their peak of, like, oh, I know everything,
They start dying.
Or they're psychopaths and, you know, have, they're egomaniacal and they have, like, a serious issue.
Oh, boy.
No, but I'm serious. You know, like, I personally know people like that, so I'm saying.
Oh, wow.
It's just that, like, you're always learning, and that's, like, one of the first things that I kind of, I made a goal to immediately start taking acting classes and immediately start learning things about this world that I'm in now, you know, and it's really helped. I'm currently at Upright Citizens Brigade.
Oh yeah, I used to be. Yeah.
And I'm taking improv classes there. I did my first show, and that adrenaline rush.
Nice.
Oh man, that adrenaline rush, it was there for sure.
Yeah, like you're about to go on stage and you feel like almost like you're about to. When I did my first beauty pageant, I was in heels in the back, and I was like, I felt like I was about to step in the blocks.
Yeah.
Like that. It's definitely, and I think is this your girlfriend or is it somebody else?
Where?
In the chat? We got
No, it's
okay.
not.
All right.
But hi.
All right, just checking.
Who's in the chat?
Tangled55.
Oh, well,
Hi, Tangled Wi-Fi.
Thank you for joining us. And I was going to say, I guess with 2011, you suffered a chin injury.
Oh, yeah, that was at World Championships. It was the last event for the all-around.
Yeah.
Last event, and if I would have hit the routine, I would have gone like second or third, and I ended up hitting my chin on the bar.
Ooh.
But you came back and got gold for parallel bars,
Yeah,
right?
like 3 days later.
So has that prepared you for acting in terms of, and then how did you get through that? How do you mentally drop when, you know, things go wrong and then having to go, look, I got to get back up and I got to start this next thing?
It's so funny because like that has, I mean, that's just one example of my career in gymnastics, but to be completely honest, my entire gymnastics career has been, you know, get down, get back up, fall down, get back up, all the time, you know, and I feel like that's a slight advantage that I may have in this world, because like whatever, get knocked down, get back up, it doesn't matter, you know. Another thing is the fact that being an athlete, and you guys will both know, if you do something off, they're not going to be like, hey, so maybe try it. They're just like, that was bad, do it again, or whatever, you know. Like that's something that I'm prepared for. So if there's like ever a director or anything, be like, hey, that was garbage, do it again. I'd be like, all right, cool.
Yeah,
let's do it
it's not
again,
an issue.
you know, like,
yeah.
whatever.
You could take criticism if you had great coaches and not the ones where, somebody who has talent and they're just kind of, allowing them. If you had great coaches that, wanted to see you excel, then you're able to take coaching well. And that's kind of again, I guess I'm preaching athletics too much, but it's just, you learn so many little things that you don't even realize you're learning until you're out of it and you're now in the business world, or you're now
now it applies.
And now it applies, and it's not an issue to you, but for some reason, somebody who's, they've been kissing their butt for a long time, they take issue to it when somebody's like, you should do this.
Right.
So it's like just another day in the.
It's funny. I was filming an audition. I was putting an audition on self-tape, and I asked a friend of mine to come over. We had met on a short film that we did, and I was like, yeah, like, would you mind helping me read? And she was like, yeah, okay, great. And she kept giving me notes, and she was like, I'm so sorry. And I was like, no, thank you. Like I need you. I need you to tell me what I'm doing. I need, and she's like, okay, cool. Like, I just don't want you to. I'm like, no, man, just tell me.
Yeah.
If you see something wrong, tell me.
Because how do I grow and how do I learn?
Yeah. It's good criticism versus something like, something that you can't change. Like, okay, you're hefty. Like, well, dude, in 5 minutes I can't do anything about that. Like,
thank you for that life note.
No, like, look in the mirror. I already know that. Thank you, appreciate it. But it's something that where you can actually critique and change. Then that's helpful.
Exactly.
Right?
I wanted to ask you about the importance of staying prepared.
Okay.
I know. So 2016, you were an alternate to this team. So you get a silver in parallel bars and on the high bar, but you were an alternate to this team. So you almost missed out on these silvers. How did you, I guess, go about taking that role seriously? Because you don't know if you're going to make it. You have to train as if you are.
Well, it was literally what we were talking about. Get knocked down, get back up.
Yeah.
And I 4 weeks. So, okay, there's two main competitions to qualify on the Olympic team. There's the national championships and then the Olympic trials. 4 weeks before the national championships, I had an incident where one of my two family dogs, They got into a fight with each other. My mom was there, so I went in to try and separate them. And the one that I grabbed bit my leg twice.
Wow.
Right. That.
Like
4 weeks.
Yeah.
4 weeks. I literally couldn't move my foot. Like, I couldn't train at all for 2.5 weeks.
Like, what are the odds? You're just thinking to yourself, like.
Literally, the only thought I was like, really? Now? Like, not that, no, I was just like, really? Now? Does that
You call yourself a friend?
Yeah.
But yeah, like, I can show you guys a picture. It's kind of boring. But it's just like the picture of me in the hospital with my leg all like chewed. And like, I was smiling. I was like, it's fine. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Like,
Life goes on.
Yeah.
And that kind of played a role into the fact that, like, I went to nationals again. I competed with my leg wrapped. Went to the Olympic trials. I competed, had a great competition. They didn't select me. But I was like, whatever. Let's just keep going. I pretended. I imagined. I more so envisioned myself already on the Olympic team. I was like, I'm on the team. I'm on the team. And then, again, unfortunately, like I said, you have control, but you don't have control. One of my teammates, John Roscoe, hurt his knee at the very last camp right before going to Rio. Yeah. Just like a week or two.
And this entire time you're training with them as if you're going as well, and then.
Well, yeah, we went back. Everyone went back home to train, and then we all we met up at this camp.
So while you're an alternate, you're back home training.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that optional, or you have to do that?
No, yeah, everyone kind of trains on their own.
And you have to keep your motivation up going.
Yeah.
Okay, anytime I just have to be ready regardless.
Yeah, and exactly. I didn't even think about like I have to be ready. I just literally thought that I was competing. Like I just in my mind I was like I wasn't an alternate.
Yeah.
I was on the team and I was going to compete.
Always be prepared.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so, this happens unfortunately at this last national team training camp, and they select me on the team, and then we're like you said, we go to the Olympics and I come back with 2 silvers.
Wow.
Now, with the Olympics in Rio, there's a whole maybe 6 months up to it as far as living conditions and the water and all that other stuff. Did you find there were any issues with you and your teammates as far as, did you guys bring your own food, or did you prepare a certain way, or was the Olympic Village, you guys were well taken care of?
Here's my thing. So, first of all, I fell in love with Brazil. I fell in love with Rio. I fell in love with the people, with the culture, with the food. It was amazing. I can't wait to go back. My issue, though, is that it's kind of funny how a South American country has a couple problems, and we bring up all these problems, but then in London, we had problems where literally my team in the apartment building where we were staying got flooded. Like
wow.
pipes burst, and we had to move to a different, completely move to a different apartment, and during the Olympics.
It's like you have years to prepare for this.
Exactly. That's my issue. There's always problems. There's always going to be, the situation. Like, they literally have just built an entire village for people, and there's obviously going to be issues. It's new construction. There's new construction in new buildings, and they take, like you said, years and years and years.
Yeah.
I had no problems with Rio. I fell in love with it. I would actually, at some point in my life, like to maybe buy an apartment in that village, because the community that was built around it as well, it was amazing. They have a skate park. They have, I don't know how many little soccer fields, tennis courts. It was beautiful, and besides, it's right next to the beach, so
you can't go wrong, right?
A lot of string bikinis. It's like, I'm not going to answer. I have a girlfriend.
Another subject. But you have this production company now that you started, Parallel Entertainment.
Yes.
Obviously an ode to what you've done in the gymnastics world.
Yeah.
What kind of spurred this about, and what do you guys want to do with this production company?
So, I'm a really big believer of making your own content as well, and creating your own things, and kind of, I guess, helping people as much as you would like them to help you. You know what I mean? Especially in this industry, I feel like if you pay attention to the people that are really successful, you can see that they're always in a group. Look at Adam Sandler's movies; it's always the same people. Same, you always see Kevin James, whatever. Yeah. It's always the same group. Same thing now with Judd Apatow. You always see the same people. And
Issa Rae and
exactly.
it's
always see the same people. And I feel like that's the secret of this industry. You have to grow together.
Yeah.
And
go on, sorry.
I was just saying, I feel like the people that don't see that, the people who try and just grow by themselves and start stepping on the people who help them get up there, stay here and then drop.
Yeah.
So, what were you saying?
Yeah, I was saying that. Now I forgot. No, I was saying that when you have people growing together. No, I can't remember. It'll come back. Rotate.
I like how you tried to.
So I created this production company with, he's my manager, but we're really good friends, and we speak sometimes as manager and client. We speak sometimes as friends. We speak sometimes as business partners, and so we were like, hey man, let's create this company, and then we were like, yeah, it's a great idea. And we have a couple things in development right now. It's going well. I mean, obviously we just opened it recently, so it's not going to be immediately successful, but nothing ever is.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's awesome. And so that what's your vision for? What do you see 10, 20 years down the road?
Sincerely, similar to what Dwayne Johnson has done.
Like some rock.
$7 production. That's his.
And that's family. So
that's what I'm saying.
His ex-wife is not only his manager, she is the executive producer on most of his movies. When they got divorced, she actually, they're still friends. They co-parent, and that's when she started. She saw him in that fairy tale thing on Disney, and she's like, "You have something here." And then she's the one who spearheaded it. He's often said if it wasn't for her, he wouldn't be where he is right now. And then her brothers on projects too. He was one of the executive producers for the last movie. I'm sure his daughter's doing some stuff as well. So it's kind of keeping it in the house. And then what I was going to say, stuff that I forgot, is that the people that you grow with, what they're capable of.
Yes.
And they don't want to let you down. Your true friends or your true associates, they don't want to let you down, because if you are rising with your production company, therefore, if you have several movies, you're going to use those people because you know that they're going to work and they're not going to cost you money to rework something. So it makes sense. And
they'll make money, we'll make money, and then I'll do some projects and use them. They'll do some projects and use me. You know,
it's like teamwork is the key.
Exactly.
It's always
it's
the
all
key.
what it is.
Yeah.
It's all what it is.
Yeah, and because in Hollywood, it's like you have somebody, like you were saying in the beginning, you have somebody who says that they can do something, and there's nothing worse than somebody that they say they can do something, and one, they don't do it, or two, the worst, they do it, and you're like, what is this? What am I supposed to do with this? So it's just like, it's way better to, you know, again, if you have good friends or good associates that you know that they're actually going to work and do the work, and you know, you don't mind paying them that extra bump because
you know what you're going to get. You know the quality you're about to
And there's also this other amazing thing that's happening right now in the world is that we have amazing stories.
Yeah.
People like us, we have amazing stories that haven't been told yet. They're starting to get told.
Yeah.
But now we're
and we
like,
can
hey,
tell them regardless. Yeah,
we got it.
Yeah.
We're gonna tell our own story.
Yeah.
Like, I know you think you know,
but you don't.
But you don't. But you actually don't. So I feel like that was another reason why I was like, you know what, like, I have a good story. I can think of great people and stuff like that. Let's tell these stories.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask. One, do you have plans, or do you now go back into your community, whether it's in Florida or Cuba, and are doing something athletic-wise, or in the stories that you tell? I'm assuming it's not going to be, you know, the stereotypes that, you know, we see portrayed of us. It's going to be a different light. Like, that's what I like about a lot of the shows that are on now in the movies. It's like you see, I'm going to say for black women, you're not seeing the angry black woman. You're seeing
That's
different
so
faces of them. Like, they could be this, they can be that, and it's not a stereotype of it.
Yeah.
So, you know, one, are you doing anything athletic-wise for the kids? And then two, like, what are your projects like kind of looking like?
I always try to get back and like, even if it's literally just to like visit kids and help out with anything. Like, I don't really like to like charge or anything, especially when you're dealing with like kids, because honestly, that's the reward, and it's not even a reward thing. No, like, I do it for them, you know, and so yeah, I do try and help out, because I remember when I was growing up and I was watching, and I was like, man, like, I want to be that, like, that person. And I remember at one point, I think it was after 2011, that I was telling my mom that. It's like, yeah, it was so crazy, like, you know, I was able to compete with like these people that I like watched and I wanted to be like, and she was like, you realize that you're one of them now, right? And I was like, whoa.
Yeah, because people are watching you, wanting to be like you. Yeah.
And then when I see these little kids like come up to me and they like, you know, you see it in their faces, you're just like, wow, like, I want to do this more for people like that, you know?
Yeah,
what I mean?
And
especially coming from Miami, because like they're seeing themselves in you.
That's
they
what I was
actually
gonna
see
say.
someone that looks like them. Yeah.
Which is hasn't been the case. And of course, we're not saying that, you know, it's gonna be like trying to take over certain things, but it's just nice to see.
But it's not about that. It's about representation.
Exactly.
And I mean, it's so funny and so cool. Have like what 99% on Rotten Tomatoes and things like that. You know, it's like these stories that from people that look like us are obviously, they will make money.
Right.
Yeah. And we believe that they're a true reflection of us, and that's why we're like, oh, this is what a great story.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I relate to this.
Or the underlining where I love it with Get Out when I went like with a multicultural bunch of people that were in the studio or in the audience, and it's like all the black folks or the minorities are laughing at certain things because, you know, we know.
Yes.
And then the white folks are laughing at something else, and I'm like, yeah, like, you know, it's just one of those things that, of course, like what I was asking you with your mother cooked for you. It's like one of those things that if you're from an immigrant family, your story, your American story is always slightly different than from somebody who, even whether they're black, white, or whatever, like, born and raised 2 or 3 generations. So it's always a slightly different story, and, you know, the immigrants are not necessarily represented because, you know, somebody's trying to kick us out.
And are you going to plan to tell your story, because it's a pretty inspirational story, and so play yourself?
I have two different ideas. Like, I was on this dance show.
We saw it.
Mira quien baila?
Yeah, exactly. On and
with yourself.
He was so proud.
He was so proud.
So while I was on that show, I had a friend of mine kind of just film like the behind the scenes. So that's one of the things that we have in development. Like, I just kind of had like the behind the scenes where I was kind of telling what was going on. I was telling why I retired. I was telling what I'm doing now. Yeah. And I'm kind of making like a docu-series. That's one of the things. And the other thing is a secret I'm not going to talk about.
The porn will be out in August.
Girlfriend.
Who knows? She might be in it too.
No.
Featuring. And she's like, no, UCLA.
But there was, oh man, there was something I was going to say, and I'm losing it right now. Do you see? I'm sitting closer.
Docuseries? Secret you can't tell.
What were we talking
Dancing?
about before?
Oh, telling your own
dancing show?
story. The story you're going to tell your own
Yes,
story.
that. Thank you.
But like a fictionalized, or not fictionalized, but
yes,
scripted,
actually, it's kind of yes, that's kind of the secret. But anyways, no,
Cut.
No, but it's good because he figured it out. I didn't say it. Okay. The thing is that like my story, it's very unique and it's very like inspirational. My mom at 27 took my sister and I out of Cuba by herself with the help of my grandparents who were in Miami.
Yeah.
And like we like forged documents and we flew to Peru and we were only supposed to be there a week. We ended up staying 6 months. Finally somehow got to the United States. But that story, it's different from a lot of immigrant stories, but it's still a story that is relatable. Like there's still so many people in this country that'll be like, oh yeah, my mom also, or my dad also, and that's super important because if we can tell stories like that, people, first of all, people we're actually gonna know who we are.
I think we're gonna humanize the story, like humanize people that we sometimes demonize.
Yes. Well, I think being in immigration half the day today, people don't realize that the process through immigration is not as easy as people think.
Oh, yeah.
You just don't fill out some paperwork and then mail. Yeah, they still do mail. Like mail it in, and then you wait for 5 years, and then 2018. You wait for 5 years, and then may or may not. It's not a straightforward process, and I don't think people understand it. Yeah, and then even you talk about DACA and the Dreamers and stuff like that. It's just kind of like, okay, they did a skit. I don't know if you guys saw SNL, but it was the perfect skit. It was like it was a board game Life, and there was the DACA version, and she was a dreamer, and it's like, okay, well, you're a dreamer. They want to send her back to Honduras, and in that process, you don't have papers to work, but we need you to find money to pay for a lawyer. And if you can't do that, then it's just all these loopholes, and it's just kind of like, okay, I understand you want people to do it the right way, but
we won't even talk about all the things you have to do to even be qualified as a DACA enrollee. School and how many years, no background checks.
Under 30 and all this stuff.
So a litany of things, but I think that's a reflection of where we are in the country, and I think part of it is going to be the artistry that we tell, because I think the arts and entertainment industry are kind of leading the broader sort of awakening, and I think a lot of times we tell these stories through art and people go, oh, I understand now.
There's at least a little, like, you could never, like, for instance, I can never be in your position, but there's at least an empathy there, and that's what I think we all as a human race currently in America is lacking at the moment. So it's like,
I don't know if that's necessarily true, because I do hear a lot of these sort of stories of empathy, but
we're in LA,
the other stories tend to be a little bit louder. and then you don't know, just because like the people on my Twitter feed are the people I like.
LA is a different. LA is a.
But the good thing, I don't know if you guys saw the interview that Jay-Z did with Letterman.
No, I haven't seen it yet.
It's so good.
Where he kind of spoke about that it's it's kind of good that we're in this position right now that a lot of people in the world, they're like with the times, and we see the people who are not, and we can like call them out and be like, oh, okay, obviously you aren't up with the times. That's good, but we do need to somehow, I guess, help them understand.
Bring them to the times with us, right?
Because at the end of the day, it's not if we just like get angry at them for not knowing. Like we're basically doing the same thing they're doing.
Right.
We need to definitely educate them and help them understand. I know some people aren't gonna want to understand, and then we can just not talk to them at all.
But just to pretend like it's whether it's your family member that got shot, or your family member that is in like about to be deported.
And sometimes I think a little bit of both sides having to press the reset button. Sometimes, like for me, I know sometimes I'll come to a situation with my baggage from my past, and so you have to say, wait, even though they're ignorant, let me have grace for that ignorance, rather than bring in the ignorance I've experienced the last 20 years and go, hey, all on you.
I always just say, I'm just gonna say you're having a bad day. Like I'm just for your sake and my sake, I'm just gonna give you that L. Like you're having a bad day. Because sometimes it's not even worth it. Like it's definitely an understanding. But with stories like yours, again, it'll put it out there, and hopefully it'll.
And how much of the story is over because you've done so much at such a young age? So you don't go to 2020, but Could you be there at 2024, 32?
No, God, no.
You'll still be young. Tom Brady's 40. You'll still be young.
Gymnastics is insanely hard, but I will be at the 2018 Youth Olympics as an athlete role model.
Oh, nice.
I got selected, and it's actually really amazing because that's something that you can be a part of. That's kind of like a full Olympics, just for younger people, and you can help make this impact. You can help, I guess, shape people and kind of just experience and be a part of seeing who's gonna be who. You know what I mean? And that's amazing, and I can't wait, especially since it's in Buenos Aires in Argentina.
Oh, nice.
Oh, gosh.
Like, I mean,
why not?
There's beaches there.
Let me go down. What can I do? Can I help? I'll volunteer.
No, but the thing too is the great thing about, again, I'm pushing the athletics again, but the great thing about that is the lessons that we've learned. And then we take it to other places. Now you can instill in other people. And whether they choose to listen or not, I always believe that because you got to that platform, you might say 10 things to them and one thing might stick. And that's all they really need to take it to the next level, or that'll take them to a different part in their life and they're going to remember you for that. So that's definitely a great thing.
Absolutely.
And speaking of kids, you're going down to Broadway Loves Parkland on Monday, right? You'll be in Fort Lauderdale.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, it's a benefit concert for the Parkland survivors. Like you said, it's called Broadway Loves Parkland, and it's I think it's 15 Broadway stars. It's a very successful Broadway producer who's putting it together. And I was lucky enough to be invited to that, and I'm really excited.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's a whole
nother story. Whole nother interview.
Yeah.
So we can find you and look for your updates on your Instagram, or there's a website. Where can they get all your updates?
On Instagram for sure. On Twitter, what I mostly do is just kind of retweet the Daily Show.
Yeah.
Because it's amazing.
Oh my gosh, I love Trevor.
You actually learn a lot, honestly. Yeah. You actually learn a lot. Or like jokes maybe, or I'll say I think last night I posted a tweet that said, have you guys seen Queer Eye on Netflix?
Yet.
Oh my god, it's amazing. I literally cried every single episode.
So it's like another This Is Us?
Kind of.
No, thanks.
Nice. You can't take the emotional.
Too much
No,
emotion.
but like in a good way.
Yeah.
Like it's happy tears.
I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna tweet you with. I'm gonna have a problem.
Bet. After the first episode, she's gonna be like, oh my god. Bet. So, but yeah, and I was watching it, and I was like, oh man, when Tan said,
This is girlfriend
when Tan said that the Crocs were the hideous things he's ever seen, I was like, oh wow, amazing, I'm so happy. So that's kind of the stupid things that I tweet, but mainly Instagram.
Yeah.
Not so much Facebook. I don't go on Facebook.
Well, it's old for old people.
Exactly.
And how are you navigating this world of everything you tweet or say could be scrutinized? Have you had a chilling effect with what you put out there in the last few years, or no?
Not in the last few years, but when I was training, they were super strict about you can't do this and you can't do that. And now I don't care because I consider myself an activist, and there's a lot of things that I will put out on purpose to make people talk about, and it's important. I posted for the Equal Pay Day. I posted 2 or 3 different pictures about the actual difference, and it's so funny. So many people would DM and be like, "Is this real? Is this true?" And I'm like, "Yeah, man, yeah."
That's awesome. Getting out education.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, we are so thankful that you were able to join us here. We're so looking forward to your projects.
Thank you so much.
Again. My name is Shaka Smith. You guys can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat at Shaka Strong. Where can they find you, Miss T.K. Trinidad?
You can find me everywhere at TK Trinidad. You can also catch me on TMZ talking some ish. Oh my god, I have a really good story to tell you guys tomorrow, so definitely tune in to TMZ for sure.
Why didn't you call me and bring me here tomorrow? I'm Danell Leyva. Thank you so much, and we are signing out from Black Hollywood Live.
Yes. On that note, goodbye, guys. See you next week.
Keven Undergaro, Dario Christian, Tiana House, and the entire BHL staff. We would like to thank you for supporting Black Hollywood Live, the first online broadcast network dedicated to African American entertainment. For questions and comments, contact us. info@blackhollywoodlive.com. Like us on Facebook, tweet us, or Instagram us at BHL Online. And I am the official voice of Black Hollywood Live, Scipio. Instagram me at KingXOBay. Thanks for tuning in.
Hollywood Redefined.
The views expressed here are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of BHL or its owners or principals.